Hey, what's going on, ladies and gentlemen? My name is Rayge, and we are back today once again with another video here on Old Man Logan's return. But more importantly, guys, I want to talk to you about the most important teams that you should be focusing in on now that his event is back. And remember, he is one of the best, if not the best legendary character in the game. And with his trials returning, this is an opportunity for you guys to maximize on his shard levels, but more importantly, have a powerful weapon in your roster that you can utilize in all game modes. Let's get started. First and foremost, let's talk about some of the content and gameplay guides that I've already made, guys. I've already put in the time and effort to make the full-on play-by-play, so I'll link everything below if you guys need to see the more detailed gameplay. Otherwise, this video is going to focus more on a high level in terms of which characters and teams are going to be best now that we've seen some meta changes and which character additions that we can consider for the entirety of this event. Now, I also want you folks to keep in mind, right? I was able to unlock Old Man Logan quite a while ago, so some of these characters are still not upgraded, and that's what I'm hoping to share with you in terms of insight of which characters to invest, which ones not to. As you can see, Out of Time and Cabal, with every legendary event or specific required event, there's always going to be required teams, and these are the two teams that are going to be in that category. Having said that, you can definitely notice that there's going to be some favorites here, right? Black Knight, the full Cabal team, all four of these characters, I've been, fortunate and, confidently able to invest in them fully because they are used in other game modes. They probably have, these four characters have the most value out of every single character out of this mixture here. And to be honest, Out of Time is probably the one I would, spend a little less time on and making sure that you just prioritize Black Knight. Even with Captain Carter and Captain America, I stopped bringing them up after I used them in Dark Dimension 6. And even Cosmic Ghost Rider and Starbrand, you can see they're nowhere near close to those levels, right? Also, to note here is that Loki and Emma Frost are required as part of the Cabal mixture, but those two characters also do not need to be built up because they're basically just bodies to be, damage fodders and whatnot. Really, it's going to be the Cabal show blowing out those sections, and they're actually a lot easier than Out of Time, but thankfully, there's only a node for each of them when you go through it, so you really just have to truck through. But again, focus on the characters I have on screen here because these are the ones that you should be prioritizing, especially if you don't care about building them up to the moon for their specific game mode. Now, Cosmic Bow is probably the most interesting section because obviously we know that without a Time and Cabal they were required, but when this event first came out, Cosmic Bow was the most controversial because in a way it almost did feel like Super Skrull himself was required to actually get through the entirety of the event, even though he was not a requirement. So for folks that didn't unlock him, they had a tough time. Thankfully, it's been, quite some time now, and there's been a big infusion of Cosmic Bow characters that we have on this list that can now actually slot in as options, and obviously you can use two sets of team if need be, but for sure, without a doubt, Super Skrull is the strongest option in my opinion to make everyone else better. Other options I used at the very beginning before was combinations of Void Knight. He synergized extremely well with Photon, them having a lot of control, and also characters like Void Knight, you would need him as a hive mind for building up into your Orcus and Doom raids as well. Nova is actually a really good option. I brought him into Dark Dimension 6. You can see Gear Tier 18, right? And he still had a bit of value, but where he really shined, actually funny enough, I actually did get Nova unlocked, Old Man Logan unlocked in the beginning with actually a weak core gear because his synergy, Cork synergy with Nova being able to come back and get revived, those were a very powerful tandem if you are looking for options. And you can see now we actually do have Miss Marvel Classic and as well as Medusa being part of the meta now, so they can have a bit of that A4 synergy with Photon. So that's a nice option. Gladiator Gore obviously being in the meta right now currently for Arena. If you have those two characters, they're going to be able to provide a lot of value. The Starjammer infusion into the game right now, the newest team, so Groot, Rocket Raccoon, they're going to get refurbished here now with the new team, so you're going to be building up a little bit of value there. And what's also interesting is Mr. Fantastic and Black Bolt, obviously being part of Illuminati, they were also touched up in terms of just being irrelevant once again, right? But when I used them previously, they didn't really shine as well as some of the characters I've shown here in this top 10 list. So hopefully this is helpful, but these are, in my opinion, the top additions that you can be using in terms of getting the utmost out of these nodes. Next up, we got what I believe is arguably the hardest section in its entirety, which is being hero skill here. Now, what comes to mind obviously is using aspects of Spire Society because they're already required in all game modes, but the fact that they already have value in this legendary event as well is pretty meaningful. What worked for myself though was bringing in once again a very big Black Knight. He is going to be the forefront here. Having him as an isolate striker is going to be able to provide some more damage and output, and I utilize him with my Spire Society in my guides where we're able to truck through. But if you guys are having an issue with this node specifically, make sure you check that video out because of the fact that there is strategy involved. Essentially, you may need actual sacrifices being made in the beginning so that way your Spire Society plus Black Knight can get through. Having said that, there's other options now that have been added, right? Moon Dragon, part of Astral Team, is now officially an option because, she's relevant. Statistically, she is better than a lot of these characters. Captain America Sam being Power Liberty now can also be used as an option as well. So we definitely have some more versatility here than before, but in my eyes, I would still say these top 10, top 9 characters are solid, and the good news is you can make 2 teams out of them as well if you needed a sack team. But just keep in mind, you don't necessarily need strong characters to sacrifice for the attempts as well, right? You can use these weaker characters to soak up hits, and that's the overall strategy. But again, if you're having issues, guys, make sure to check out that guide. Super helpful, and that's how I was able to truck through as well. Last but not least, we have the villain section, and to be honest, there's not really too much to say about this section because you know how it is. The game's divided up into heroes and villains, and if you have the entire villain roster, most folks likely won't have issues with this because we have a buffet of different characters that we can utilize. But I do want to quickly talk about what worked for myself. If you're trying to min-max, if you're just trying to save materials in general, why not go with Iron Patriot, the leader, and Namor once again with the Cabal team? That's what I did, and then I brought in some of the strongest villains. Some of the strongest villains in this case could be Skrull, could be APOC. You can bring up aspects of Annihilators, Thanos Endgame, maybe synergizing with Gladiator or Gore. We have Shadow King at our disposal if you guys were able to unlock him and push him through. Lady Deathstrike is now one of the best villains in the game, so she has great synergy there. And Kang always does have a place as well because of what he can bring, his clearing of barrier and devastating damage across the board. So we just have, honestly, so many options now as villains, which is great. But yeah, guys, that in a nutshell is the event in terms of the characters and teams that I would recommend now, part of the meta and the changes. Let me know what you think in comments below. Hopefully this is helpful. And once again, I'm going to link everything down below if you guys need to see the play-by-play. But I don't expect this to be more difficult than last time. They've been able to adjust. And remember, even if you have completed this event previously or unlocked Old Man Logan, there's always going to be rewards available, right? So if you check out the Back to the Wasteland, remember this is at our disposal to go through and actually earn. So make sure you guys do that because we get a chance here to obviously take advantage of maybe I'm looking at the wrong event here, but usually there's like a leaderboard or milestones associated with that, so probably right here. So make sure you guys definitely take advantage. Let me know in the comments below. As always, thank you for your time, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.